Well, the contact occurs, there's a lot of different levels of contact happening on the planet right now, again, because of what's happening in 2012. So I receive a lot of telepathic contacts and data streams early in the morning. It's almost like, you turn on the news or CNN and there's a stream of information about the news that's coming in, all of the global news. Well, they have the Ashtar Command and the Federation send data streams down to all the ambassadors down here about what's happening on the planet, their planetary updates, and they come in every morning. So it's like the greatest data stream of energy and information, and it's very uplifting. And they go over if there's any problems here on the planet. There's been problems with reptilians, with greys in the past, but now that's no longer a problem. There's been problems with the secret government and the Illuminati, which there's no longer problems with. And so everything is very uplifting right now. All the information is coming in at a higher level. But I do see them in my house. They actually come in my home. Sometimes on the etheric level where they're almost invisible. It's almost like, the film Predator, where you see the predator and is cloaked and there's kind of a mirror-like thing around them.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
So I actually see a lot of them like that, and they come and they talk to me. But I actually, you hear them through not your ears and our auditory, but you actually hear them through your heart. And that's kind of strange to describe, but that's how the angels and the higher guides, they talk to you telepathically, and they land ships outside my house. Sometimes I have ships hovering over the house, and if you go to my website on the Higher Perspectives page, you'll see I took a picture of an Ashtar ship over my home about 3 o'clock in the morning. So they contact me in different ways, and a lot of them look like us. They look just like us, and they're walking around on the planet. They're in the governmental system. They're working in the Pentagon. They're working in the financial system, the educational system right now. Most of them are indistinguishable from Earth humans. So like the Pleiadians, they look almost exactly like us. So they can come down here and basically do anything and walk around, and nobody would think anything different.
Do they have to be born when they come here, or can they take over a body, or do they come down as like an adult and just blend in?
They just beam down. They basically can beam down, or they land their ship on the etheric level, and then they just come down. They transport or bilocate themselves down here, and then they contact people if they have. Some of them are working. Geological things are going on right now with the Ashtar Command, where they're monitoring all of our internal planetary systems, the tectonic plates, and all of that to make sure the ring of fire doesn't go off, the earthquake ring. And so they're actually helping our planet to make the transition, because it is kind of a difficult situation to take a planet that has been in a lower dimensional format for so long and move it into hyperspace, into a higher dimensional format. So they're helping to adjust us and our planet as we move higher.
Okay, this is where I have a question. I have a hard time understanding, because it says our Earth will become a star, and we will become capable of vibrating at a faster frequency. What does this mean? It means that there will be no more physical bodies? Does that mean that essentially we're all going to die?
Well, no, we're actually, what I'm talking about in your radio show, everybody knows this, either consciously or unconsciously. I think a lot of people unconsciously, they know all of this information. And what's happening is that we're moving from an a water-based body into an air-based or a light body. So our body's making a transition, which is why there's so many mass consciousness diseases and people experiencing physical issues right now, because, again, we're moving from our body is primarily water-based right now. We're moving into an air-based or a light-based system. So the bodies are going to get more beautiful. We actually become more exalted in our look. We become taller. We become like a new galactic human template is what we're transitioning to. Mm-hmm. And we're not actually most of the people on the planet here are not actually here to experience the death process. We're not going to go through a death process like so many have before. We're actually here to make a transition into what's called ascension or the light-based body.
Okay, so that has nothing to do with dying, and it's a different type of process.
Yeah, it's a different type of process, and this process happens on every planet. I mean, all of us have experienced it, and it's, again, very natural and gradual. And, again, I've experienced numerous ascensions on other planets where they're going from one dimension to the other, and planets evolve as well, like we do. So as a planet evolves into a higher format, it becomes a star. So all of the stars that we see in the sky were actually at one time planets. And everything on the planet, including humans and animals and birds and plants, are transitioning as well. Everything's moving into the higher dimensional format.
Well, does this go for people as far as bad people on Earth? Are they going to be made good, or are we going to just move on without the bad people?
Well, we're hoping. We're hoping, and the Federation and the Ashtar Command and the Ascended Masters and the spiritual hierarchy, which is there's like a big celestial management structure that actually helps us from the etheric levels with all of our angels and guides and everything. They're hoping that by late 2012, when this planet is actually triggered to go into multidimensional ness and a multidimensional format, that a lot of these people will have become aware and become awakened on some level. But there is an alternate Earth that has been prepared in a higher dimension that has been dropping down for many, many years now, since 1992, and it was prepared by the Federation to take this planet's place in this time and space, because our planet is actually moving into, again, hyperspace.
So they're going to get like the leftovers, the people that don't.
well, yeah. I mean, you got to have a sense of humor with all this. But I'm very, there's a lot of information here. But yeah, they're hoping they will awaken in transition. So we kind of have to hold space for them, even if we're kind of angry at a lot of people. And this planet is actually, if they don't make the transition at that point, they'll end up on this other planet, which they'll be able to, live and evolve to such a point where they can awaken and then come over to the new planet at some point and bridge over.
So that they will be giving a second chance.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like people on the cusp.
Yes. Well, I think, all souls that have come to Earth, it's very difficult here. It's a challenging planet, and I say it's like a bad camping trip living here. It's very difficult. It's very challenging.
Yeah.
And this is the most expensive planet that I've ever lived on. I mean, come on. It's like you have to pay for water here. You have to pay for utilities. This is an expensive planet, and it's very difficult to be here. So you can't really fault people who've gone into the negative, because people are having a difficult time here. Some people have had a difficult time since birth, and they've had a series of circumstances that have led them into negativity and fear, and so even just coming here and living on Earth, on this planet, is the angels just really applaud everyone who comes here, all the souls, because it is very difficult. It's not like going to the Pleiades, where they're in the fifth and sixth dimension, and they don't have any polarity at all. So there's no negativity on their planet. So it's not like living on Earth.
Yeah, they're like, when you get down there, don't turn on the news.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But see, your show is also kind of showing the evolution as well. I think shows like yours and others actually show the evolution of consciousness. You're connecting with many streams of energy and consciousness, and sometimes you have on probably people who have ghost stories and things like that, and it's all kind of an evolution of consciousness. So these shows are very important to get the message out that there's something else happening on this planet that a lot of people aren't necessarily focusing on, that maybe they should spend a little bit more time listening to, their backlog of stories and things like that. So, yeah.
And I think everybody has been exposed to that at some level or other throughout their lives. They just choose to ignore it. and focus on just regular 3D life.
Well, look at all the TV shows. I mean, there's probably half of them are psychic shows, half of them are space-related.
Nowadays,
magic related, ghost related. I mean, all the paranormal shows are just huge. And when I was a kid, I did have a lot of paranormal experiences with ghosts because my mother actually there was a haunted house around the corner from where we lived, and our mother liked antiques, so she went over to the haunted house before they were going to tear it down, and she got a lot of things like the banister off the bottom of the staircase, and she brought it into our house. And all of a sudden, my brother and sister and I started experiencing like ghostly spirits in the house. I mean, it goes way back to childhood with this type of stuff with some people, you know. Yeah.
And back then, you didn't really talk about it.
No, but we did feel it, you know.
Right.
Back then, I think everyone's talking about everything now, which is so great. Again, your radio show is so great because you just talk, and it's a real easy format, and people just get lots of types of information. But back then, nobody really talked about that kind of stuff. So, you know.
Yeah.
It's more open now, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to mention, so we don't forget, you make the accelerators, but you also provide, are they books? I read in your website you have something called cellular regeneration, and it has a lot of information on healing.
Yes.
And you also have something called Psychic Storm, and you say technologies such as computers, telephones, television have their value. However, when compared to our internal psychic technologies, these man-made creations pale in efficiency and potential.
Yeah.
So you also go into that. You have accelerators that work to help people to open their psychic and be more aware of their own gifts. You also talk about crystal skulls and Atlantis.
Oh yes, definitely yes. Everything's included. My website's kind of like your show. I have a little bit of everything.
Like everything. I really encourage everyone listening tonight to go and check it out. It's really well worth your time. Plus the beautiful accelerators. And I have to mention, when I first visited, I did feel a little bit of a shock, a little bit of I don't know how to explain it. Like if I was plugged into a wall a little bit and I just received a little shock.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people will come to my website and they'll stay on there like for 4 hours, and then they'll have to take an aspirin and go to sleep or take a Tylenol.
Well, yeah, I finally did get a headache. I was like, okay, maybe I need to stop. It's too, I don't know what it is. My eyes started getting tired, and I was like, okay, I need to take a break. But then you want to go back again and do it all over again.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about one more thing that I'm personally fascinated with, and I wasn't expecting to find this on your website. But you also have something called essential programming. You said just flip a switch and instantly turn on your intuition, time travel abilities, and telepathic communication centers. So wait a minute. Are you telling that these accelerators will help with time travel abilities?
Yes, absolutely. There's
my gosh.
There's blueprints for everything. I think everything is a science, and our human body carries a lot of different programs that we don't use, and a lot of the junk DNA is actually the higher programming, which is called essential programming. And every human has psychic abilities. Every human has the ability to teleport, to bilocate, and we're just turning on all of those abilities now. We've just come actually out of the age of modern man. We've come out of kind of a dark age, and we're moving into an age of light now, where all of the internal technologies will be turned on, all of our psychic senses. And so, again, people who are having problems with manifestation, with health issues and things like that, they'll be able, when all of their psychic circuits and everything gets turned on, all disease will just fade away. We won't have any disease on the planet anymore. We won't have any problems like we do now, where there's so many different levels of consciousness conflicting here, which was kind of a difficulty from the start. So the essential programming within our system actually helps people to upgrade. So there are switches inside of your body that if you know how to do it, you can switch things on. And there's 12 major switches in the body, And during meditation, if people do meditation and things like that, they can turn those switches on. And that means, like, instantly they will have psychic abilities. They will experience astral projection by location and teleportation and all those type of things.